It was very much needed, and he has the platform to be able to echo that. Like I said, Jay, I stand with Kyrie 100% because I know it was coming from an educational place. I don't think it was coming from a place of hate or negativity. So I'll shut up and I'll let you kind of talk.
No, man. I mean, it's a conversation. I was listening to you guys with, family, Big Perk, Rashad. We've known each other for a
Yeah,
long time too.
yeah,
So I'll tell you what exactly I did because I knew nobody would do it. And I get it. Like, we're on TV daily I'm on TV for 5 hours a day, 5 hours a day. And we know how the sausage is made, right? And when you combat the way the product is made, it doesn't get the type of attention, right? Those things, when you combat what we're supposed to do about who's the greatest of all time, conversations like that, when you combat that, those don't get pushed out by the main media. Those don't go viral. So people don't see those moments where you combat it, even though a lot of us have been doing that on the front lines for a while, because those aren't the only clips that go viral. Are the one time that maybe you get lost in a barbershop like debate, like you with your peeps, your
yeah,
friends, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like things that shit that you and I will argue about,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that all of a sudden just pop off and you're like, oh damn, that's the one thing that people are gonna judge me on. So
Right.
me, I just had my third kid. So I'm up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not gonna be like everybody. I'm gonna watch it. I watched it in bed for 3.5 hours. And I wrote down thoughts. I started doing my own research about being one of the 4 lost tribes. And I started to really understand it. Now, there were little things in here and there. I'm like, I don't really rock with that. But
Yeah.
I got the gist of who he's striving to be and who I wanted to be. And I'm like, man, this has put me on to such a deeper understanding. It led me to start asking questions to a lot of my mentors and elders. And it led to a lot of different conversations that, frankly, as a black man, I should have been having a long time ago. And it opened up that dialogue. So for me, that led to a lot of other questions about why is it on the platform if it's deemed so anti-Semitic? Why is a group that's owned by somebody who's Jewish, why are they promoting it and profiting off of it? But nobody really wanted to answer those questions. Everybody just wanted to do the low-hanging fruit because
Yep.
they didn't watch it. They didn't try to understand it. They reacted to what other people's interpretations were off of it instead of having their own. So,
Exactly.
and also, the last thing I'll say about it, because it led to my post yesterday, is that like we live in a world, man, like where you're supposed to do shit first. And if you don't do it first, it don't mean nothing. And for me, I was like, nah, like I'm gonna read about it. Like I'm
Yeah.
conversations about it. And then once I feel like I have the pertinent information, that's what led me yesterday to be like, oh, I'm tired of this, man. Like, and because for a long time, we don't have the power to say, you know what, Sarah Silverman, we're going to have you sit down with the Black National Caucus and we're going to hold you from getting until you do so. Or you're not going to get paid until you sit down and you understand the implications from calling somebody a nigga, what that means. What that means.
Go through this class. Let's give you a class on what this word means. And
Yes.
you need to talk to our black leaders, and you also need to donate $500,000 to communities in New Jersey and Detroit and Texas. And yes.
Or Rashad, let's put you through sensitivity training so you understand how that word marginalizes us as a people. And also, it's one of the reasons why I did the post yesterday about kicking it off. Like, let me be empathetic because I'm an empathetic human being. I almost died, right? And I think that
Yeah.
creates a lot of, for me, like humanity, kind of this collision of like, we're all people, but I understand we all have our different paths. But let me help you guys empathize. When we don't feel like we're being heard and it happens over and over and over again, to me, that when I see what's happened to Kyrie, that's why I utilize the analogy of buck breaking, man. Like, that's what that is.
Hey Jay, what you did, hey, I salute it, bro. I'm telling you. And I think this conversation with Kyrie is changing us because, like I said to Perk, I'm done with the debate because that's all we do every single day is tear down each other. Every single day, we constantly tear down Who's the greatest? Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, KD. He this and that. And again,
It's tired.
we never talk about Babe Ruth. His legacy is his legacy. When Barry Bonds was chasing 73, they said he was breaking Babe Ruth record, and Babe Ruth didn't even have a record. That's the mind games they play. When the black coach have a job, they put the camera on the assistant white coach and say he's next in line. They talk about it.
Eric
You gotta
Bieniemy.
pay attention. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even gonna get on your school. You know what I'm saying? Duke, one of the greatest programs of all time. But I felt Tommy Amoka should have got the job. That's a whole nother topic. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you tell the man that he got to come be an assistant coach when he's been a head coach for over 20 years. That's crazy. That's crazy.
But that's why I talk about power dynamics, brother. We talk about the power.
He talk about it.
Oh, no, I've been paying attention. And it's like this.
I'm like, yo, we got to start. I'm going to start holding people accountable, though. We're going to start doing that from now on, moving forward.
We need to basically what Jay is saying is.
I know you're still going. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, we good. Go ahead.
He just basically saying, let's just keep the same energy for everywhere. If we're gonna start, if this is what we're doing moving forward, when somebody threatens another race or somebody feels threatened or about their race or their religion, then you're going to have to go through these courses before we forgive you or before we reinstate you. Now, I have predicted this 3-4 years ago. I predicted that Kyrie would retire this year. I predicted it 4 years ago because that's how much in tune I was with what Kyrie Irving stood for. I said, this brother, Brooklyn will be his last stop in the NBA. And I wasn't saying it in a negative light. I was just saying that I think Kyrie has really educated himself more and more each year outside of basketball. I think basketball is obviously his God-given talent, and he's one of the greatest talents that I've ever seen personally. But I do think once you get to a certain stage of life, there's a evolution that must take place. And I think Kyrie's evolution has been education. I think he has really got into reading, studying, education, and understanding his platform and trying to echo some of the things that he's learned on his evolution journey, and he's tried to share it with the world. And I think a lot of times America as a whole does not understand that a lot of times as a black man that we are trying to evolve as people, because there's so much information that has been withheld from us in our upbringing that once we get to a certain status in life, we start to have access to avenues that we didn't before. Let me stop preaching. I'm gonna stop.
It's real. But watch it.
I'm gonna stop.
Here go one right here for the whole world.
I'm gonna stop.
Adam Silver is a Duke graduate. We looking at another Duke graduate right here. Kyrie Irving went to Duke. Think about what's going on. See, we gotta see. This is a moment. Everybody want to get mad at Stephen A., Shaq, Charles Barkley, and other guys who went against it. No, it's a moment. It's a moment that we can teach, and let's have the conversation. Let's get off the whole thing and this guy's anti this and anti that. Let's have the conversation. Let's really have the conversation. Let's not put the names on the back of the jersey with no fans for a few days and just tease the crowd. If we really go do it, let's really stand tall. Let's not be afraid to have an all-black sports conversation on ESPN and say, I got to hire the white guy. Like, this is how I go for college basketball coach. And we know this. When the black coach become the head coach, he say, I need a white guy because for the alumni. When the white coach get the head coach job, he say, I need a black guy so I can relate and go recruit and get the players. We need to change the narrative. And it starts with things like this, Jay. And I appreciate you coming on here. And the thing is, when we get on these levels and making this money, we shouldn't be above the fray. It should be back in the day when we were kids, Sean. Pros used to come in the barbershop and hang out with us.
Oh, yeah.
They used to be around.
I saw Derek Coleman walking through the hood all the time.
Come on.
even go back. I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick, and then I got to jump because I got to go back on air. But let me tell you how Shad and I met. So, like, literally, like, I had a thought. I had no idea, like, about him as a player. I knew his cool perk. I said something. He came at me like, "Yo, you're taking my stuff," and I was like, "Hold on a second." Then I started doing research. Right? I'm gonna tell you, but this is what we don't do, right? So then I started doing research.
Right.
He did say that. I can completely see how somebody would say that. And then I went and I paid this man his dues. And I called.
And he called me.
I called me. And I'm like, yo, there's enough room for all of us to do this together. Let's ride. Like, yo, send me your book. I want to start talking about it on air. Like
he did.
That's cold. That's cold.
He did.
And that we should be doing on the ground floor level. But when people are pit us against each other for years, we think there's only room for one. And
right.
Boys, yo, there's room for all of us. We got to create the space for it to go down, though.
Yep. I know you got to get off, Jay. I just wanted to salute you. For me, I don't have anything against ESPN or Fox. I don't get caught up in all that. There's a job to do at those places. They ask you to be you have to do specific things. They're paying you to talk about specific things. I'm okay with that. You sign up for that. That doesn't bother me at all. I just really appreciate you sharing that. The video that you put up was much needed. And I won't just say just for Black people. I think it was for everybody to really pay attention to that. And thank you again. In 2001, the best two players in college basketball was me and you. You can go look it up. You can go stat search it. But there was no better players in college basketball in 2001 than me and Jay Williams, and it's documented. So I always wanted to put that out there, bro. And I talked about you in my book. I can't wait for you to read it. It's going to be fantastic.
Man, love and respect. And y'all keep having these conversations. I'll jump on.
No doubt.
All should be more engaged and collaborative in this process.
Bro, yep.